I'd very much like it if you can call me back. You can call me on blah, 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 bye, right? This is Rob Spence calling from Windows Glazing Horrors. Can you call me back, please, regarding a quote I'd like to send out to you? You absolute bore. What else can you do? Can you, once again, show up at their offices with a bag of sausage rolls? Doing this one thing could help you increase your sales. And actually, if you're not doing it, you could be leaving money on the table. Hello and welcome to another episode of the Sales Circle podcast, your weekly podcast that is designed to help you improve and increase your sales. You've heard it all before. My name is Rob Spence, your host. I'm an author of a variety of sales books. I train and I coach salespeople all over the globe, and I'm delighted to have you with me today. Thanks so much for joining me on the Sales Circle. I apologise if things look a little bit different. It's been a couple of days since we last recorded, so everything's been taken out for other clients, and so you know when you're trying to build the set and the studio back together, it all feels a bit messy. I'm sitting on a different chair, so I can't be bothered to go get the normal one out, so I feel a bit flustered. So if you're watching this over YouTube, if you notice any differences, I do apologise, but look, I've tried to frame it as best I can. Today we're going to be talking about voicemails. Whenever I speak to salespeople or business owners, one of the big questions I'm always asked, especially when it comes to cold calling and making sales calls, is should I leave a voicemail? And actually, when you do some research into the leaving of voicemails, and when you study what some sales trainers say in comparison to other sales trainers, there is so much of a differing opinion out there. I've got my opinions on it. I've come together with some, I can never say statistics. We're going to come together with some statistics about leaving a voicemail, should we, shan't we, and potentially some hints and tips and around it. But as always, before we go on, I want to say a massive thank you for tuning in. It's been a great week. We are recording these pretty much in bulk at the minute, which has been great. It's always great to kind of sit back and sort of talk through sales with great people like yourself. And we've got some great guests actually lined up to come and talk on, which is a first really for season 2 of the Sales Circle. If you go back to season 1, the season 1 of the Sales Circle was all about guests, right? All about guests. And now we for season 2, we're kind of bringing in some more guests, which I cannot wait. So, to you, the listener, the viewer, maybe if you're watching on social media or, of course, YouTube, then thank you for staying tuned. Look, full transparency, these take a lot of work and effort to put together. But you know what? I love it. I love it. I love talking sales. I'm a massive sales nerd. And, I don't know whether my editing team of Jack and Megan love it as much as I do. I don't know. But I enjoy it all the same, and I'm sure you do too. So before we get into the main section of this episode of the Sales Circle, and we're going to be talking about voicemails, should we leave them or should we not, please just do me a massive favour. It really helps me and it really helps the show, and will eventually help you as well. Please do hit that follow button, hit that subscribe button if you're watching on YouTube, and let us, if we may, crack on with the main part of the episode. As I mentioned sort of in the opening monologue of the podcast, one of the key questions I get asked when I deliver sales training or when I sort of talk to people about sales, and especially in particular cold calling and sales calls, is should I leave a voicemail? There's loads of debate out there whether voicemails still have a place in modern sales, what actually makes a great voicemail, when to leave one, when to not leave one. And actually, should we? There's so much debate out there. And what I see and hear is some salespeople say, and some sales trainers say, we should leave a voicemail because it allows that additional touch point. It helps to build trust, helps to build relationships, which we know is crucial and vital, right? Other people say we shouldn't because actually a voicemail gives away the fact that you're a salesperson. And if people know you're a salesperson, then why will they call you back? Why will they make contact with you? So, look. We live in this modern world, right? We always talk about digital marketing. We talk about social selling. We talk about selling on LinkedIn. We talk about messaging on Instagram or whatever. So do actually voicemails, do voicemails, should I say, have a place in the modern day sort of sales toolbox, as I like to call it? Well, as always, I've got some studies and statistics. I was able to say it right that time, which is awesome. So this study here from Ringlead said that 80% of all calls go to voicemail, which I think is about right? Yet only 17% of people actually leave one. So 17% of salespeople, I should say, actually leave a voicemail. So quite low. That goes on to say, a research from Sales Hacker suggests that return calls from voicemails hover around 4 to 6%. But more importantly, they can increase name recognition and open email response rates by 35%. So although the someone returning a call, let's look at that study a little bit more. What they're saying within that, the chances of someone returning a call from you leaving a voicemail are still quite low, right? So it's still not the magic ingredient. However, they can increase name recognition and open email response rates by up to 35%, which is a massive increase, especially when you think about it. If you're sending out 100 emails and trying to contact 100 people, all of a sudden, you've gone from potentially 0 to 35 who are actually reading your emails, reading your LinkedIn messages, and understanding who you are. And that takes me on to my personal opinion. Okay, I'm going to share with you my personal opinion on voicemails. Okay, I think voicemails should be left, but only good voicemails, and we'll come onto this in a minute. Okay, we heard a statistic here that 80% of calls go to voicemail, and I think that is true. If you look at your mobile phone, especially with certain generations and certain ages, people will look at their phone, and if it's a number they don't recognize, they won't answer it. Sometimes they may go away and Google it sometimes, and I've done this, to be fair. I've added that telephone number into my phone as a contact. I looked on WhatsApp to see who it is, right? We kind of screen those calls. So the majority of people won't actually pick up a telephone call. Obviously, if we're calling into a business, that's slightly different. Everyone's got to pick up a ringing phone. But if we're calling a mobile, very few people actually pick up, right? But actually, voicemails now are listened to. And if you look at the technology around AI now, I'm an Apple user, and this may be applicable to Android as well. I'm not too sure. My voicemails are transcribed, and they kind of come through as a separate message. So what that then does is that gives me another touch point. And that, I think, for me personally, that's what the beauty of a voicemail is. Of course, and we'll come on to this in a minute, if your voicemail is boring as fuck, right? And if it's clearly a sales call, why would someone return your call? Ask yourself that. Why would someone want to respond to that voicemail? And actually, I think the debate isn't whether should I leave a voicemail or should I not leave a voicemail. It's actually, how can I leave a better voicemail? If you leave a voicemail saying, hello, my name is Rob Spence calling from Paragon Sales Solutions. I'm calling you to sell you something today. I'd very much like it if you can call me back. You can call me on blah, 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 bye, right? And sometimes not with that kind of amount of energy. Some people put on a weird, boring, monotone telephone voice. Hello, this is Rob Spence calling from Windows Glazing Horrors. Can you call me back, please, regarding a quote I'd like to send out to you? Boring. Absolutely boring. If you're leaving voicemails like that, then 100% you will not get a call back. And there's some stuff we can talk about in a second, right, as to how to do it. But to kind of answer that top level question, I genuinely think that if you leave good voicemails, it creates another touch point. We've heard in recent episodes where we discuss using voice notes and using our voice and videos at times to get across our message. A voicemail does that. So actually, we should be leaving voicemails, but they should be good ones. They should be good. So let's look a little bit as to when you should leave a voicemail and actually what you can do to help you get your voicemails answered. So just briefly then, if we try and answer off that question of when should we leave a voicemail, should we always leave a voicemail? When is the best time to leave a voicemail, right? Well, for me, I don't believe you should leave a voicemail every single time, okay? It looks desperate. And I think sometimes people use it as a tick boxing exercise. And actually, what that can do is that can annoy your prospect a little bit, right? Not everyone has the time to listen to voicemails or voice notes or whatever, right? So you can do it at strategic times. So of course, I always believe the first time you call someone, we should be leaving a voicemail. What that does is that allows that person, remember 80% of calls go to voicemail, so that allows those people to understand actually who you are. If your messaging is damn good, they will recognize your number the next time you call, right? So it's vitally important that I believe on that first time around, you introduce yourself and you set clear what those next steps are going to be, which we're going to talk about in a second, right? Of course, we could leave a voice note or a voicemail after a meeting or a proposal. A nice, friendly voice can once again just encourage that relationship, encourage that trust, and build some rapport. And of course, if they've recently engaged in something, put really simply, right? When you leave a voicemail, you need to have a reason and you've got to have a message, right? Like I say, if you're just leaving a voicemail for the sake of leaving a voicemail's sake, then you're not going to get very far very soon. So we've kind of alluded to what makes a great voicemail. For me, on a very top level point of view, right, a voicemail has got to be good. It's got to be engaging. What many people forget is that our voice is an instrument. I alluded to earlier, many people just sit there and they talk like this and it's very monotone. Hello, can you please call me back? Many thanks. Boring, depressive. Why would I take any of my time to call you back, you absolute bore, right? Your job as a salesperson is to sell excitement, build relationships, and give people a reason to talk and communicate and converse. Hello, my name is Rob Spence, and I'm just calling to see if you need any pet food. Please give me a call on 0116. Oh my God, bore off. Remember, excitement sells. Your voice can get across that emotion. So my number one tip when it comes to leaving a voicemail, I wasn't actually going to do tips, but I feel like it's important. Use your voice as an instrument. Alter the pitch, alter the tonality, have some excitement in there. Think about how we can mix up tempo, volume as well. Remember, sometimes if we take our voice down, it sounds like we're telling a secret. If we're telling a secret, it makes people want to listen a little bit more. And of course, sometimes we can raise our voice a little bit so that once again, people are excited. People get sort of caught away in that sort of P.T. Barnum Greatest Showman element of what we're trying to sell, right? So make sure that we're talking and using our voice. But secondly, what we want to do is build that excitement, build that curiosity, and encourage action. So of course, especially if it's the first call, there is nothing wrong with you stating your name and your company. That person has looked at their mobile phone, they've seen a telephone number come through, they want to know who you are, right? Explain the benefit as to why they should call back, not just the reason. Remember, this is basics of selling. If for some reason we as salespeople neglect it on the voicemail, we should be selling not for our reasons, but we should be selling the benefits for the reasons of our customer or our prospect, right? So explain the benefit of calling them back. Keep it short and sweet, right? Nothing over sort of 20 seconds, 30 seconds maximum if possible, but nice, short, sweet, and to the point. Here's the key thing as well that I think everyone neglects and misses out. Explain what that next step is. Explain what that next step's going to be. Are you going to call that person back? Would you like that person to call you back? Are you going to connect with them on LinkedIn and send them a message? Are you going to send them an email? Are you going to send them a goodie bag in the post, right? Whatever it is, have a nice, clear next step. Once again, make it as easy as possible for your person, your product, your prospect to buy. Put your sales hat on for a second, right? Actually, no, take your sales hat off and put on your business hat for a second. I believe that the companies that do really well in the world are the ones that make it super damn easy to make a purchase, right? I would much rather buy from Amazon than I would sometimes a local store or a local e-commerce store. I know that sounds bad. So many of you are going, oh, we should shop local. We must buy local, meh. Right? Once again, that's a different debate altogether, right? I buy from Amazon, as no doubt you do, because it's so simple to buy something. You can literally buy whatever you want within a few clicks. Are you going to pay a little bit more for it? Of course you are. But it's so damn easy, right? You can walk into a room now and say, hey, Alexa, order me a toothbrush, and it's there, boom, on the next day. Sometimes you buy from a local store, you go through 17 bloody steps. They've not got your details, so you've got to re-input your details, right? Delivery comes in sort of 7 to 12 days or whatever, just to save a couple of quid and to support, local. And I just want to make clear, I'm not slagging off local businesses in the slightest, but one of my biggest bugbears is I don't believe we should buy local for buying local sake. I think we should buy based on reward and based on what we're going to get out at the end of it. I don't think local businesses are a charity, and I don't believe that we should just buy local to support that local charity, if that makes sense. That's kind of my feeling on this whole buy local, shop local kind of thing. I agree, shop local, support great businesses. If they are local to you, then that's awesome. And if you are a local business and you're not getting the trade that you want and you are not getting the business you want, perhaps do better. Oh God, that sounded really bitchy, didn't it? That sounded really bitchy. I'm not trying to make it bitchy, but just do better. So when I come back to that clear step, think about how easy it is Amazon takes for you to buy. And once again, just on Amazon's, point here, you look at Amazon's customer service, they tell you that they'll call you back. If there's a problem with your order, you click a button, put your telephone number in, we'll call you back. And you, lo and behold, a couple of minutes later, you get a phone call back, right? You're not calling Amazon up to sit in a queue of, 15, 20, 30 minutes to be put through pillar to post automated things. They say, type your number in, we'll call you back. Amazon have made it super damn easy to communicate, right? And that's what you need to do. That's what you need to do as a salesperson. If your voicemail says, can you please call me back on 0116 502 3900? Do you think your customer is going to go, yeah, do you know what? I'm going to take a pen. Let me find a pen. I'm going to take a piece of paper. I'm going to write that telephone number down. And I will call that person in a second. Of course they're not. So make it clear, make it obvious, but most importantly, make it damn super easy. John, it's Rob calling from Paragon Sales Solutions. I was giving you a call because we're working with a competitor of yours and we're actually generating loads of leads and results for them. And I want to do the same for you. I'm going to give you a call back 10 a.m. tomorrow. Of course, if you're available, that'd be great. If that's not a good time, get back in touch and let me know. Boom, I've offered clear next steps. Jonathan could then perhaps write that thing down in his diary. If 10 o'clock's not good tomorrow, he might call me, might call me to rearrange, whatever it is, right? But just offer that clear next step. And just remember, my big tip here, right? My big tip I was going to say there. Sound like a human, not a telemarketer. Once again, I think people get into the rigmarole of reading from scripts when it comes to voicemails, and it just doesn't work. You're a human being. Remember, we're going to be, I think it's next episode, we're going to be talking about human to human selling, right? That's what you need to be, right? You're not a telemarketer. You're not a salesperson. You are Jim, you are Bob, you are Sally, you are Ranjit, you are Ria, you are Peter, you are Eloise, whoever you are, right? You are a human being talking to another human being. So get that across. So listen, to kind of round this up slightly, should you leave a voicemail? Absolutely. Do you need to leave a voicemail every single time? Probably not. Should you be offering value and giving, that making sure that voicemail is damn good? Then absolutely. Remember, especially if it's the first phone call, state your name, introduce yourself. But once again, don't make it monotonous or boring. Give them benefits. Give them reasons why you need to talk. Hello, I'm calling from Paragon Sales Solutions. We're a multi-award winning sales and marketing agency. Would love to talk to you. Can you give me a call back? Once again, boring. They're the features, not the benefits. Hey, Trevor, it's only Rob calling from Paragon Sales Solutions. Listen, it was a quick one. I saw your LinkedIn post yesterday. It looks like you're doing some great work. I'd love to support you. We're actually working with another client similar to you, and we're generating 10 leads a day. Would love some of your time. I'm going to give you a call back 10 a.m. tomorrow. If that doesn't work, let me know. I've utilized the benefits, not the features, right? Remember, give people that clear next step and make it damn easy, right? You are a salesperson. You are not expecting, or you shouldn't expect, your customer to go out of their way to buy from you. You should be going out of your way to make your customer want to buy from you, right? And finally, just be human with it. Another trick, this is a cheesy one. I'll give you a really secret trick that I find works, right? If you are listening to this in the car, make a little note or share this with one of your colleagues. Here's a little simple trick. If you're really struggling to get a hold of someone, right? Here's a little trick that I've done in the past and we sometimes use, right? What we do is what I call is the broken signal voicemail. Okay, so we're going to call up, and we're literally going to encourage pauses. So you can press the mute button on your phone, or you can just pause naturally. And we're going to try and build that curiosity to give someone the reason to call back. So instead of saying, hi, my name's Rob, calling from blah, 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 need to speak to you about blah, 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 I'm literally just going to use some key words that hopefully encourage someone to want to speak to me. Hey, John, it's only Rob calling from... Listen, I know it's urgent, but I need to speak to you about... Can I give you a call tomorrow? Speak soon. That has probably sounded really bad on the microphone, I don't know. But what we're doing in that sort of broken signal voicemail is we're utilizing keywords and we're trying to encourage that curiosity. You put yourself in the mindset of that person listening to that voicemail. They're going to, oh, okay, oh, who's this? They sound like they know me. It sounds quite urgent. I need to speak to Odin. Here's his number. Let me call him back. So there's a cheeky little trick for you. But listen, have some fun with it. Start to implement it as part of your sales and messaging strategy. And let's carry on with the episode. Of course, it comes to our cheeky plug of the week. And today we're going to talk about my online sales training courses. For those of you that don't know, and I'm sure you do, I'm a multi-award-winning, renowned, internationally sales trainer, sales coach, sales author. And I deliver a lot of sales training. And that sales training can either be delivered in groups. That sales training can either be delivered in individual one-to-one training and coaching and mentoring. and at times can be presented in speaker format and or online. Put simply, I want to help you, your team, and your whole company improve their sales, okay? If you're looking for an entry-level route into sales training, perhaps you are an independent salesperson working under a boss and they won't afford, or beg your pardon, they won't pay for your sales training, and maybe you're looking for some cost-effective online sales training courses, then we've got plenty available. We've got about 11 now online training courses covering everything from objection handling to telephone sales to elevator pitch writing and some other bits in between as well. I will drop a link to those online sales training courses below. All available on an LMS, which means you can do the training at any time, anywhere in the world, and they will increase your sales. They're literally all rated near enough 5 stars. They've gone all over the world, and I'd love you to take part. And the best thing is, super cost effective. So hit the link below, check out the course we've got available, and I hope to see you there. We move on to the listeners' questions part of the show. And I've got 3 here, and we're going to jump straight in just because of time. We've got Laura, who says, Rob, what if I leave a voicemail and they still don't call back? Listen, that's fine. It's natural. It's normal. We saw a statistic earlier. What did that statistic say? Return calls from voicemails hover around 4 to 6%. So don't think of a voicemail as the be-all and end-all. Don't think of the voicemail as the key to open the door. The voicemail actually is a touch point. The voicemail actually is that next step towards building that relationship and that rapport. I wouldn't necessarily go ahead and leave a voicemail every single time, but occasionally I would. Remember, it's just another touch point. Don't take it personally, but start to think outside of the box. What else can you do? Can you, once again, show up at their offices with a bag of sausage rolls? Can you show up, can you send them a video? Can you send them a little gift? Can you, write them an email? Whatever it is. Remember, a voicemail isn't the absolute key. It's just a little turn towards turning that key. So I hope that helps. Dean from Liverpool says, should I leave multiple voicemails or just one? Yeah, I mean, I think, look, you don't want to sort of do it for every single time because it does look a bit desperate. And once again, I always find that when people naturally get into a rhythm and a routine and a habit, if people get into a habit of seeing you call, you leave a voicemail and they delete that voicemail, that does become an habitual routine that people follow up. So break the cycle, break the habit. 100% on the first call, introduce yourself, but leave it 3 or 4 calls before you then leave another voicemail perhaps. And finally, Sean says, do voicemails still matter if I'm already if I'm already connected on LinkedIn, Sean says. So yeah, look, they for me, there's never an argument between where should I sell? What should I do better? Should I just focus on LinkedIn? Should I just focus on social media selling? Should I focus just on telemarketing? Whatever it is, right? They're all part of your toolkit. If I ask someone to come and look at my studio now and do some work, they come with a tool bag. Within that tool bag, there is a Phillips screwdriver, a flathead screwdriver, a drill, there's a chisel, there's a hammer. They come with an array of tools. And for me, voicemail is just another tool in your sales tool bag and your sales toolkit. LinkedIn's fine, but can you really put a price on your voice and that personal relationship? So Sean, I'd say they work like hand in hand. They work together. And if you utilize all those tools in sort of that omni-channel approach, then you're going to absolutely succeed. So listen, thanks so much for today's questions. If you do have a burning sales question, business growth question, marketing question, if you wish, and you want to get in touch, then please do. You can do a number of things. You can email thesalescircleofficial@gmail.com, or you can find us on social media, drop a comment, send us a message on there, and I'll be sure to give it an answer. Just before we wrap up, I'm going to come to my book recommendation of the week. Now, there's going to be a couple of groans when I show you this week's book. There's going to be some moans, some groans, and some, this isn't a business book. But I'm going to share with you a great book that I'd like to recommend. Now, love him or loathe him, it's Jamie Vardy's autobiography, believe it or not. Why would I be recommending this book? Well, firstly, I'm a massive Leicester City fan, massive football fan. And like I say, love him or hate him, he is clearly within the top, if not the top 10, 100% the top 20 of all-time Premier League strikers. The record speaks for itself. His trophies speak for themselves. And unfortunately, at the time of recording, he's about to play his final game for us on Sunday. Sad times, but I'm sure he'll go on to carry on his fantastic career. I can see him playing for another 2 or 3 years, if I'm honest. But why am I recommending this autobiography? Well, It's got nothing to do with business. It's got nothing to do with sales. But what it does have something to do with is a story of adversity, right? We look at Jamie Vardy here, rejected as a teenager by his boyhood club, loads of things going on in his personal life, playing football for the sake of football whilst still working in a prosthetic limb factory, I believe, was the story. To then being found, to being captured by Leicester City, to having then this ultimate price tag over his head. £1 million in football isn't a lot of things, but paying £1 million for a non-league football is absolutely massive. And actually, there's stories both within here, but if you speak to Mike Stowell, if you speak to, if you hear from Craig Shakespeare, who unfortunately is no longer with us, Nigel Pearson, after his first season, Jamie Vardy wanted to go back. He felt that he wasn't good enough. He felt that he couldn't quite meet the standards. He felt that he needed to go back to Fleetwood Town, drop down the leagues and just play football again. And that management team said, no, we believe in you. You've got this. And then look at him. He went on to, win the Golden Boot. He's won the FA Cup, the Premier League, got to the quarterfinals, I think it was, of the Champions League. He broke the most amount of record goals in an extended period. He went from I'm not good enough to damn me, I am good enough. So if you do like football, it's a great read. But also if you love a story of adversity, overcoming rejection, overcoming low confidence, and actually finding confidence in what you do, then that's a great book for you. As always, I'll drop a link for you to buy your own copy in the comments below. And that's just about a wrap for this week's episode of the Sales Circle podcast. Thank you so much for tuning in. Remember, I think a voicemail is vital to be left as long as it's a damn good voicemail, right? So practice it, give it a go, use your voice, give people easy, clear next steps. Make sure you have fun with it, sound like a human, and ultimately just give it a damn good go. Next week, we're going to be talking about selling human to human, which I think is something so, so important. I don't care whether you sell B2B, I don't care whether you sell B2C. It's always human to human, and we're going to explore that in next week's episode. So make sure you hit that follow button, hit that subscribe button so you don't miss an episode. They come out every single Thursday, audio dropping nice and early in the morning for your commute on the way into work, and then the video dropping later on in the day so you can watch it at home if you so wish. Thank you so much for tuning me on this week's episode of the Sales Circle podcast. My name is Rob Spence, your host. And until next time, all the best. Cool. And that's it for another episode of the Sales Circle. Make sure you hit that follow button, join us over on social media, and we'll see you next week.